I am on time today. It's a miracle.
Mike is working.
Mic's working, camera's working. We're all set.
Oh, let's rock and roll.
Oh
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
baby. What's going on? How's your week?
Good, busy. Lots of action. OpenAI is keeping us on our toes every day, it seems like this week.
Yeah, what's the big one this week?
Monday they released new models, 4.1 for API only. Tuesday they released a library feature called that allows you like see all your generated images in one, which then opened up a bunch of news that all the tech blogs ran with, saying that, oh, they're going to launch their own social media company to compete with X that's focused on AI generated images, which is hilarious.
Hmm.
I posted on, I think it was The Verge or TechCrunch or somebody like that. They posted about it and I commented. I was like, the pettiness between these two guys is hilarious.
100%. Yeah, yeah. Billionaires hating other billionaires.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I was just going to launch my own. So, like, all right, for sure. Like we need another social media company,
Oh my gosh, I know, I know.
right?
Honestly, even Meta doing threads was already way too much.
Yeah. Yeah. And then yesterday they released O3 Mini, I think, and maybe O4 Mini. I'm having trouble even keeping up with all these different models. And you look in their price, their price breakdown or their price guide thing, and I mean, it's like you have to like scroll to see how many different models they have, and every model is different. And like the one on Monday, 4.1, which is not in ChatGPT, it's an API only model.
Hmm.
They released 4.1, 4.1 Mini, and 4.1 Nano. They all have different pricing,
Wow.
but it's not super clear as to the difference in functionality or like use cases beyond what you would use just to save on cost.
Yeah, I was actually trying to figure that out myself. And I was asking ChatGPT, I'm like, okay, so 4.1 is now available for my API. Where do I put 4.1? Why would I choose it? And the main response I got is that it's better uh, when you're putting parameters around a prompt. So if you have like a long prompt with a lot of details, the answer can sound kind of robotic sometimes, and that's where 4.1 comes in. So it just handles a larger prompt. I don't know. You obviously know it better than I do, but that's like the short 2 second take that I got from it.
Yeah. Well, and like I was just about to watch that video of Cat GPT, one of my new favorite AI influencers, another person down the street at Stanford when I was at Santa Clara, I'm assuming. And I mean, I haven't watched her video yet, but other people have been saying this O3 model is more of like an agentic first model or like an agent like model.
Mm.
So I don't know. I have to still dig into it. I've been seeing very conflicting things on Twitter right now of what people are saying and their early initial reviews of how it's working. And I think from our point of view with Stammer and how we introduce these new models, we have to make sure that it functions in the way that it was functioning, at least at bare minimum. So that way
Yeah.
nothing breaks or nothing is, different for what people expect like overnight. But it is nice to see that there are better, newer models coming out that are way cheaper. Like this 4.1 Nano model is so cheap in our cost breakdowns where we generate how we charge cost per message. It's almost negligible, the cost. Like it's 0.0000 a number per
Hmm.
message.
Well, I wonder if that's a reaction to, I can't even remember the name now, but like the Chinese AI that came out and they're like, okay, fuck it. Let's just make a cheaper version that's still OpenAI standard.
DeepSeek.
DeepSeek.
Yeah, so but I think they're going to release an open source model soon, probably. But from which will be interesting because then that opens the floodgates of how do we host that model? Who's hosting that model? Where are we hosting that model?
Yeah.
For customers that are in Europe, I think that will be nice because we can have instances that are stored in Europe to go more under GDPR. And that's another thing that we're looking into right now is how do we clone our entire code base, copy it over to an EU server, and then use Azure OpenAI models that are hosted in EU. And that's been one of the pieces of feedback that we've been getting. Like, yeah, GDPR sucks, obviously, but to get around it, it's the server not only has to be in Europe, but the models themselves have to be hosted in Europe. So people are wanting like Mistral or like these other Mistrals, like the French model. But that's not, like we're not trying to like, make a we're not trying to add every model in the world, obviously. But yeah, very
Yeah,
interesting.
you got to prioritize it. If you can do GDPR compliance, and that's great because then you've got everybody in the EU.
Yeah, and it's not enough just to have the server there. Like if the server's there, that's a good first step. But then if the data is still being sent back to OpenAI's server in the US, then that data is still technically exposed outside of Europe, which then makes GDPR not compliant, which is just like, oh, this is so annoying. But yeah, but like then again, like we are an American company, so
Yeah.
there's like only so many ways you could go about it. But I think going with that plan, because I've been seeing how Azure does offer like Europe-based models that are OpenAI, the same models, but it just they're hosted in Europe. So in theory, that should work.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of action. Google Gemini just came out with their new VO2 model, which to me is not as good as GPT-4o, like right off the bat. So I think they've got some catching up to do, but Google would be one of those companies that could easily just jump ahead, I think, at any point.
Yeah, it's not a company you can underestimate.
Yeah.
What'll be interesting about OpenAI going to literally open source is that it solves the problem of it having AI bias. Because if anybody can make the content, there will still be a certain degree of bias, but it's not like Twitter bias before it was bought, where it's like super one-way leaning, it's completely policed. Making it an open source would hopefully fix that problem. I don't know, what's your take? Because I know that's Elon Musk's big criticism with it.
Wait, so ask again, like
basically if you make OpenAI open source, or if you make a marketplace for AI models, then it solves the AI bias. Because right now, if all AI is being built by the same 1,000 people headquartered in Silicon Valley, there's a pretty clear bias that global users are gonna be exposed to. But if it's open source and anybody can contribute to the marketplace, then that solves that problem.
Yeah, and that's what DeepSeek did. They took Facebook Llama models and then just remade them essentially, and the bias is extremely clear with DeepSeek, even more so than Llama or OpenAI. Like if you ask something about the Communist Party and it's like, oh, I can't talk about that, or like it's not going to say anything bad about China. Mm-hmm. Whereas these other models will just tell you the quote unquote the truth with heavy quotes. But I think that's what will happen with OpenAI to some extent. I don't think they'll release all of their models. My thinking is that they'll release, for example, like that 4.1 nano model. They could release that one as open source, which has certain limitations. And yes, that's available as an open source model, but if you want to have further functionality or extended context windows and things like that, like you have to kind of go up the chain to get a better model or a pro model. Mm-hmm. I think that will be maybe one of the ways that they protect their moat, aside from just giving out like their open source model, because that's also how the company was originally founded, which is why Elon is so, up in arms about how his $100 million early initial investment into OpenAI is now a for-profit company that Sam Altman owns or a lot of, mm-hmm. through very weird corporate structures. So remains to be seen, but their release schedule is insane. People are, it's like we're struggling to just keep up with their updates and how it affects customers in the aggregate, because Who knows the difference between 4.0, 4.1, 03, 01, 04? Like, give me a break. Come on.
Yeah, yeah. But there's some reliance on people like you that are going to read the information and translate it to people. Like I get my AI news from you, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Fair.
there's your opportunity right there. That's already
Fair.
a video of like, did you see all these fucking models come out from OpenAI and nobody knows what it means? This is what I have figured out, and here's how it affects our customers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my plan is to do something like that because this morning a lot of people started making their versions of that, and it's just it's on my stack
Yeah, yeah.
to get working on. So yeah, we'll see.
So next topic, trending news topic, dismantling Meta, getting them to potentially sell Instagram or WhatsApp. Did you see that?
Interesting. No, is that related to that whistleblower thing?
Yeah, yeah, and apparently it's a forced sale, and Zuck offered something like 480 million in like a settlement suit, and
To
they're
avoid like the 30 billion or something?
yeah, to avoid the
Yeah.
30 bill exactly. Yeah.
And that's why he's been cozying up to Trump.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason. I mean, look, I don't know anything about it, but you can't claim that Instagram is a subsidiary of Meta. It's not. It's the main product. It's the main fucking thing.
Maybe. There is an argument there because they purchased it as an add-on.
Well, yeah, they did, but what's their daily active users on Facebook versus Instagram? What's their ad spend on Facebook versus Instagram? Like, I would argue that Instagram's a larger product now.
I would agree. First, yes, I would agree that they are a larger product. I think WhatsApp is even bigger than Instagram in terms of daily active users.
Yeah, but it's locked, it's not monetized.
Fair.
So it's
Facebook is always one of those things that really surprises me about how much people still use it. Like I was with a buddy last night who's our age and in our like very similar circles, entrepreneur and all that. And he was saying like, "Oh yeah, I made a post on Facebook yesterday about X, Y, or Z." And I was like, "Why?" Like the conversation went in a different direction after that, but it's just like that little quip of like, "Oh, I still use Facebook as a user." And he's
yeah.
our age in our not a 50, 60-year-old mom who's like looking through whatever. The other thing I've seen with Facebook is how Gen Z is adapting to Facebook and using it solely for Facebook Marketplace.
Very interesting. Yeah.
So they're not using it for any of the social media aspects, but they're signing up to get an account to be able to access the marketplace, which I think is very fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. I like the reliability of Marketplace because there's accountability over who's selling it versus something like Craigslist, Kijiji, eBay. It's like,
Yeah.
who knows? You could easily get scammed. But Facebook, you see, member since 2012. It's like, all right, this is a real person I'm buying
Yeah.
from.
So if Instagram was to be spun off and bought in like a sale, how much do you think it would go for?
I don't know. I'd have to pull up Yahoo Finance and just see like what their EBITDA is. Well, I have no idea what Facebook's annual revenue is. I would be taking a shot at the dark right now.
So Meta's market cap right now as of April 17th is 1.27 trillion.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
They bought Instagram for $1 billion.
Yeah, but that's what it was worth then. Everybody loses their shirt over that.
I think they got a steal for it at $1 billion.
Yeah, for sure. And it's easy to say that now, but I think it was 3 founders and like sub 100-person team. Those 3 founders going, we're each going to make $100 million in 2008, 2007.
Something like that.
It's a shitload of money. It was like, yeah, they got it for a steal, but like the way it went through, the transaction went through, they got it. Like both parties mutually agreed. There was no forced merger. It happened. So
Yeah, 2012.
I think it's kind of ridiculous to look back and be like, well, they bought Instagram and now they're becoming a monopoly. It's like that was a strategic play at the time that made sense for everybody involved.
Yeah. Oh no, I totally agree. Yeah, I mean it's the model that every one of the the big seven has done. Like this
Yeah,
is
and by the
Google.
way, if they didn't buy Instagram, Meta would be worth less than a quarter of what it is now. It would there's no chance it would be $1 trillion company. Come on, man. Their daily
I
active users would be less than a quarter of what it is now. Yeah, they'd still have WhatsApp.
I agree.
Obviously, like
I agree.
there's no way.
Yeah. So I think okay, so out of the 1.27 trillion, if they were to spin it off and sell it to somebody else in like a normal sale, 500 billion, like
Yeah, I was
half,
gonna
like
say between
roughly
five to
half.
seven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a bad multiple for 12 years of work.
Good ROI. Yeah.
Good ROI.
Good
Yeah.
ROI.
Jesus.
7,000x over a couple decades.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I bet you
insane.
China's just laughing at this shit right now because all all major US companies are losing their fucking shirts. Like, and then at the same time, Americans are just ripping their own companies apart. Like, really, you're going to attack Meta Industries, the largest aggregator of information and humans in the world. Like
Yeah.
that's what you want to do. You want to rip apart this massive institutional American company, while at the same time, all of your other American manufacturers or American companies are getting exposed for Chinese manufacturing, and China's just shipping in, allowing consumers to pay the tariff. Like the only problem China has is a shipping problem. Otherwise, they own. I'm going down the rabbit hole a little bit, but like I'm just saying that it seems like ridiculous timing.
It's tough because like America is the world's consumer. So like without us consuming from your country is essentially dead. We like America is why China is where it's at right now. Like starting from the 70s and 80s when all the big companies at that time were looking to get the best resources for the cheapest price, the option was, oh, let's go to China and build up manufacturing and quality control and all these things. And what's really interesting to me is that we essentially just handed over all of our IP to China to allow them to use that to grow their own economy. Yes, I think America benefited in the aggregate at a greater rate than what China is or has been, because again, we are the largest consumer in the entire world. So if for example, like if Canada or somebody else was trying to go to that or any other major company or country, like that delta would not be the same.
Yeah.
And we did that in the past too. And we saw the direct effects of that, like where we sent our IP, we sent that over to a manufacturer in China, and within 5 months, it was on Alibaba and other people were ripping it off,
Dude,
and
it
then
was
we got
everywhere.
Indeed.
It was everywhere. Yeah.
So like, the thing that really kind of brings me back to this whole concept of, and I'm going to preface like we're talking like macroeconomics. I am no way an expert or no kind of very I know what we've done in the past, and that's the information I'm pulling on. What is interesting to me is that there's only one company in the United States that went the other way, and that's Tesla. Like they built the Gigafactory in Nevada where trucks of raw materials go in one end and finished Teslas come out the other end. And no other industry or manufacturer right now, especially at that level for that level of technology, is doing that solely in America. Yes, there are manufacturing plants for GM, but they are still sourcing products and parts from other countries like the chips and everything like that.
Yeah. And the steel
So
from Mexico. Yeah.
yeah, or Taiwan or whatever it may be. So like it is possible. And one of the interesting things that I learned the other day was that okay, so yes, they did build that. Yes, Elon and Tesla got I think it was like $500 billion loan or something from the government, 50 billion, or I don't know, it was a large loan that they got from the government to build that manufacturing company in the United States. He has already paid that back to the government with interest and a prepayment penalty. Who else in the history of the government has ever paid the government back on anything? I don't know that stat, but I want to assume that it's almost nobody. So, like, yes, I think he's a psychopath, but I also think that you can't deny the facts that he paid back like, what? Like, who does that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's working. Like, they're still manufacturing vehicles that are affordable in the United States that hundreds of millions of people are buying.
100%.
Yeah. So I think like that is a very good testament to kind of what's going on in the larger infrastructure of the tariffs and how, you know, we want to get manufacturing back to the United States and all these things. Like, there's a perfect example. It just takes the government to support these companies, not go after them and try to break them up. Because what is China doing? The Chinese government is helping these companies build themselves up. Like, that's how the Communist Party works.
Yeah.
So, like, if we're not doing that, like, why aren't we doing that?
100%. I completely agree. There needs to be government support for companies to be able to build products inside of America.
Yes, 100%. Because
otherwise, global trade war, yeah, they're losing their consumer, but America is the biggest buyer, but there are still other buyers globally. But America can't lose 60 or 70% of its source of manufacturing for all goods.
Not immediately and not within the first 12 to 48 months.
Yeah.
It's going to take at minimum probably 4 years for Apple to build their $500 billion factory. NVIDIA came out the other day and said that they're going to do the same, 500 billion or so. We'll see. Well, it like remains to be. I don't know if that's talk. I hope they're not lying. I hope that's real. We'll see.
Yeah.
They have about 4 years. So if it doesn't happen in the next 4 years, then
could be 8 years though. Couldn't he? Who was it that did like 3 terms? Roosevelt.
Yeah, but I don't think. I mean, Trump's even come out and said that he's not even interested in doing that.
Oh, okay.
That being said, if we look at, I mean, we're going deep into politics right now, but
I know.
Like, you look at the Democratic Party ticket and like who is the front runner right now? Bernie Sanders and AOC. Bernie Sanders is going to be 87 years old in 4 years, so he would be 91 at the end of the term if he was to be elected.
I mean, it didn't stop your last president.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, even Trump is fucking old as dirt, anyways. But like. It's just like, what the fuck are we doing?
He is, but he's no Biden. Like, he's still so interesting to listen to. He clearly knows what he's doing.
That's the best option that that party has?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You're joking.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would sooner reelect JD Vance than Bernie Sanders.
If it's Bernie and AOC, it's a landslide to
it's
Republicans
a wash.
still.
Yeah.
I mean, and now other celebrities are coming out. Like Stephen A. Smith is not denying that he might run. The sportscaster, are you like, oh my God. Like, we're between a reality star and a sportscaster as like our president. Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, this is insane. But anywho, yeah. It's very interesting what's going on right now.
Very interesting. Sure. Yeah. Makes a lot of news headlines.
Yeah.
News stations gotta love when Trump's in power. There's a lot to talk about.
I mean, it's endless news and entertainment, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also could have a really happy ending. Like, it could end up being a really, really good thing for the global economy.
Well, in my opinion, I like to think I'm pretty center. I'm not a part of either party. I don't really support either party as oh, I'm this or I'm that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I find value in the specific topic, and that's how I try to cast my vote, essentially.
It's easy right now to look super right aligned because the left was overpowering and dominating. And I think in a couple of years it will end up shifting. It's like
my outlook on that is like, okay, yes, you might not, yes, I might not agree with everything that they're doing, the current administration, but isn't it better to be optimistic and positive for your own mental health than being just thinking negative thoughts all the time?
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially when it's out of your control entirely. Like, we could say anything that we want, but literally nothing I do or say or nothing I do is going to affect anything.
Yeah.
We've always talked about that forever. Like, you have to get that fuck you money first, like Zuck, to then be able to cozy up to then, have some sort of impact or change. Otherwise, it's just all in your head.
Well, I think for us, like, it's easy to make a decision when all you think about is business because we're pro capitalist, we're pro business. So if someone comes in and makes more policies, increases tax, increases cap gains tax and income tax, it makes it more difficult to pay people wages because there's payroll tax. It's like, I'm obviously not voting for that person because you're just stifling innovation. All you're doing is taking money out of my pocket to pay a government rather than actually paying a person that can do an efficient job for the company. And then when somebody comes in and they slice income tax, they cut the capital gains tax, and there are so many more incentives to grow business within your own country. That's all I care about. I'm not even American, but like Canadian, it all filters across the border eventually.
Yeah. America sets the tone.
They set the tone, exactly. Yeah. So if someone comes in and they're pro small business, it's like, why would you not want that person? Like anything to get away from a socialist mindset is a win in my books, which is exactly what your Democratic Party is.
And it's really unfortunate that I have personal experience with bipartisan being fucked over from both sides.
Yeah.
And like when running the vape shop and dealing with the insanely heavy government regulation over that product, even though we had all the things in place to be safe and make sure that we didn't sell to kids or anything like that, who fucked us over? I mean, it was the Trump administration that did fuck us over. Mm-hmm. And that is pro-American business, but it's pro-large corporation tobacco businesses. And again, we weren't big enough at the time to do anything about it. So we just shut down, which I still have a bad taste in my mouth from that. That being said, I'm still optimistic about everything else because what is the other option? Like, to me, it's try to be like, I'm also just as a person, I'm typically optimistic.
Yeah. You shouldn't spend too much time thinking about things that you can affect. Otherwise, it's just going to drive yourself crazy.
And I think we have that easier because our focus, like you said, is so heavily on our own businesses where and you with your family, like we don't have time to think about these other things.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas other people are just scrolling constantly, seeing all the terrible things that, these sites are posting to get clicks and keep you on Instagram. And that just sends you down a dark spiral that is very hard to get out of.
Yeah, it's fucking brain cancer, man. It's so bad for you. You get sucked into it from morning to night. You're checking your phone constantly. So that's probably the thing I hate most about social media because you have to depend on it to grow your business. It's where all your customers are. But it's so easy, even if you're very strong-willed, it's very easy to get sucked into it accidentally.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have been better about it this year, I think, more than any year. But yeah, just getting in like a brain rot scroll session, and then 100%. All of a sudden I look up and it's 2 hours later. I'm like, oh my God, like.
Yeah. Believe it or not, one thing I did to help with that is actually turn on notifications on Instagram because I get so many like this person liked, this person's live that I'm like, fuck, I hate it. But now I have so many conversations with parents and I'm like DMing influencers, end users, creators, communities of like parents, whatever. that I check Instagram constantly to see if I get replies. I'm like, why am I checking? I should just turn on message notifications. So now I can hopefully stay away from it a little bit and only open it when I get pinged.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think that would work for me.
Probably not for an account your size. No. They don't
Yeah.
have a good enough grouping feature. Like, I don't want to get notified for you. You probably get way too many DMs, but I don't want to get notified of likes, shares, comments. I don't want to get notified on these 5 accounts. I only want response DMs from this one account. You know what I mean? I wish there was just simpler grouping.
Interesting. Yeah. Doesn't Apple do that now, like grouping of notifications?
Yeah, it's automatic notifications, so you still get all the likes, comments, bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, mine would have way too many DM because the content that I've been posting a lot recently has been doing very very well.
Yeah, you've been on fire lately.
Yeah, I'm just about at like I think a million organic impressions in the last 30 days, which is great.
Nice, dude. That's awesome.
And a lot of that is due to increased of shares on the content, but also people opting in through those comments, the classic comment DM strategy.
Yep.
So now when I like wake up in the morning and I'm scrolling through my requests or my general tab on my Instagram DMs, I mean, I'm like scrolling and there's like hundreds of people that have opted in that are saying thank you or how do I view it or things like that. And I'm just like, oh, if I was to get notifications of that would drive me up the wall.
Yeah, for sure. So in other news, shift gears again.
Yep.
Growth strategy. I'll just talk. I'll give one specific example that happened today, but I'm starting to see this happening. So going after end users for Bambi, finding parents, is expensive because we're basically running ads or paying creators because we just don't have the reach organically. We're working on it, but it's not there yet. And one thing I found it be pretty interesting is messaging communities. So there's so many parent communities, especially new mom communities, that are all around America, especially the States. It's super popular, and they're hosted usually by churches or it's like a free community membership, essentially.
Yeah. So where like other new moms can meet and talk with other new moms.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is great because, parenting's super hard. So it's good to know other people that you're like going through the same thing that you're going through, and you can get the kids together and whatever, build a community. It's awesome. So I spoke with a woman just before we got on the phone here. I've been messaging her on Instagram, and she goes, yeah, we have 100 members and we all meet in person every single month, and we have an active WhatsApp group and we all talk all the time. I said, oh, cool. Do you ever get paid to do ad placement? Basically, I'm like, I don't want to come in and be the sleazy salesperson and be like, buy my product. But do companies ever contact you? She goes, no, but we have an internal recommendation thing. So if one parent likes a product, then they can recommend it. It's not associated with the company, but they can recommend it. She said, I really like your product, so I'm happy to recommend it to the community because it's actually great and it would be useful. I said, that's awesome. I would love to get it in front of as many people as I can. How would we do that? And I said, I built an email campaign for you. Can we send it to them? She goes, yeah, we can send an email campaign, but do you think a webinar would be better?
A webinar, interesting.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like,
the fact that she even knows what that is.
Yeah, right? And I'm like, yeah, that would be pretty cool. She said, so we all get together virtually every month. What if we did it in a webinar where you can show people how the app works? I'm like, okay.
Yes,
so I have 100 people's undivided attention to show them how useful this is. And then she said, yeah, and you know what you should do is you should compare it to Huckleberry and Solid Starts, which are our 2 biggest competitors, and explain what you do differently and why you built this to be different than those. That's literally perfect. So anyway, we've got it set up for next Saturday.
You're hired.
Yeah, exactly. We got it set up for next Saturday right after Easter, and we're going to have, hopefully, we'll call it a 10% show up rate. We could have 10 to 20 new parents that are just watching me talk about this app and why we built it.
Think of all the good feedback and the questions that they'll ask. Like,
Totally.
oh, that's gonna be so insanely valuable.
Totally. And I always, it's not huge now. Obviously, if you get 10 people on a webinar paying $60 a year, it doesn't amount to anything. But I always remember the guy, I forget his name, but he owns Stan Store. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Jay Hoovy.
Yeah. So his biggest tip is do the unscalable thing when you're starting out. It's like you have to talk to people. You have to do things that you wouldn't normally do to get feedback and just get the engine running.
Yep.
It's not like that in the agency world. I can't be giving away free services, but in software, you have to do whatever you possibly can to get in front of your customers.
Yep.
Because when the engine's running, I feel like it just kind of snowballs. And that's why our big competitors do tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah. That advice originally comes from Brian Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb, when he was doing the talks at YC, which I believe Jay Hoovy was a part of, or if not, I think he was a Stanford guy, so he's in those circles.
Sure.
I've also truly internalized that over the last couple of weeks, where we started doing daily support calls for Stammer. And we now, me and Tim, two co-founders of the company, show up for 30 minutes every single day, and anybody can join the call and ask questions, tell us their issues or their problems. It is the most valuable thing that we've ever done, and I wish we had been doing it since day one. Like, we kind of did it a little bit in the start, but now it's like we're promoting it, we're advertising it as a part of our support package. And it sounds so similar to like what you're doing with this webinar concept, because the feedback loop goes from like this big to like this big, where it's so much tighter and faster to where, oh, we can now fix things so much, like, rather than, oh, I submitted a support ticket, then the support team asks, oh, well, can you provide some more information about this issue? Or you didn't give us enough, you didn't tell us enough about the problem. Like, we can just show us the problem. Yeah. Show us what's wrong. Tell us what's wrong. Ask us your questions. Yeah, dude, that's going to be so valuable. And the fact that she's not wanting, like, so you're not even going to pay her to do it?
Well, no, because they're a nonprofit. So they honestly just want to be valuable. And what's great, what I fucking love about Christians and Catholics and church communities is they have actually useful things, events that actually want to help people, and they actually aren't trying to make money from it. Like, it's just the most genuine connection that you can make with somebody.
Which for us is just like, this does not compute. How do you...
yeah, exactly. That's what I said. And I offered, I'm like, can we pay you revenue share based on signups? Can we pay? Because I can't. Well, I'm just trying to get creative with how to comp them for it.
Yeah.
And they genuinely just want to offer something that's valuable to their members, which I think is super cool. It's admirable to do that.
Do you think that there's a threshold to where, like, do you think there's a threshold of when that changes? Like, do you think if you were Huckleberry or one of your competitors and you tried to do that with them, do you think they would want compensation at that point because maybe they're already aware of the app or they know it's so big or something like that?
Yeah, I think, of course. I mean, the advantage to being Huckleberry is you do $1 million a month. You have tons of capital to spend towards ads and creators and everything else. That's your advantage. The advantage to being me, small, basically no users, because we just launched the product yesterday. Like, literally yesterday is when it was finished, like the actual version that we can start selling.
Okay, with the food calculator,
with the nutrition
and all that?
feature, it's so good.
Nice,
dude. It's so good. I'm really excited, but I'm getting so wrapped up in the product. I'm like, we need this now. We need this. I have this like huge roadmap that's going to cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars to build out.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, the advantage of being me is I can just be really honest with people. Just say like, yeah, I have a 2-year-old and my wife is due in 2 weeks. We have our second baby on the way. We built this ourselves. We have no funding. We're completely bootstrapped. We're just trying to actually solve a real problem. I experienced this with my kids. Solid Stars is too expensive. Huckleberry's too expensive. They're way too complicated. Nothing's simple. They don't have these features that we need. Like, yeah, that level of honesty is not something that you could do if you're, $1 million a month corporation. So obviously there are advantages to being small. I would rather
Yeah.
be in their shoes, but
Yeah,
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 we're
of
going to
course.
play this to our favor, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, or some guys in India who started this thing and be like, have no like real connection to that core functionality or return on it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I
You
mean,
solved your own problem.
if you're that guy in India and you can develop the product yourself and sell it for $8 a year, then there's your advantage. You can just undercut everybody. Like no matter who you are, you're going to find a way to have your own advantage. But yeah,
Yeah.
ours is we solved our own problem, and I just understand the product very intimately and how
Yeah.
it needs to be improved.
So how are you gonna show it? Are you gonna do like a slideshow, or are you gonna do like a live demo, like showing like the app live on the screen share, or how are you thinking of doing it?
I don't know. I was going to do slides, but it just feels like you would lose people's attention quickly. I think just actually showing the app. I think I'll just pull up, what's it called? Like phone mirroring. Just be like, here's like, this is literally
Yeah.
how I am using Bambi. This is
Yeah.
my son's actual sleep data. This is his actual food data. Like, this is really what we're doing. And then I'll probably jump over to like roadmap and just say, this is what we're working on, but we want input. Like, what do you guys think about this? What do you like? What do you not like? Help us make it better for you, because
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to do.
That right there is worth so much money. Like
Yeah.
getting that or true organic feedback from your target customer instantly.
Yeah, that's it. That would be huge.
Yeah.
So I think that getting into these groups, these communities of people, these mom groups is going to be so valuable.
Yep. Thinking about Facebook again, there's probably a bunch of those Facebook groups that are those
Yeah,
communities.
that's so true. I've actually been using, because Kathy can't do that much. She's looking, Kathy's looking after a toddler and she's like about to pop and have a new baby. So I'm using her socials to DM people because she's just so much more approachable than me.
I would agree.
Obviously,
Obviously, yeah.
yeah, no new mom is going to be like talking with tech bro, but
Yeah.
is happy to
Well,
talk to another mom.
yeah, of course. Yeah. That's very exciting. I'm happy that you found that, and I'm excited to hear how it goes next week.
Yeah, I'm excited. I hope it works. It's obviously nerve-wracking, sinking like I can't even tell you how much into it. Too much.
Yeah. I mean,
No, fuck it.
that's
We're
the
like 60 grand in.
yeah. Remember when we first talking like, oh, that's gonna be 8 grand or something
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, it'll be
get
like
the
16 grand, and then it just like, it's also because we still have the corporation from the previous exit that we still run expenses through. So things like your phone bill, your flights, like little things like that. So that's it. But in dev cost, we're over 30 grand. In total, like corporate operations, we're 60 so far.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, from what I've learned, it's like that. It's 30% getting it to work, and then the other 70% is updates, maintenance, product roadmap updates, all
Yeah.
that jazz.
Yeah. It's also like you don't clearly know what your product is going to look like until you start working on it. It's like anything creative. The obvious example is if you're painting a painting, you don't know what the painting's going to look like until it's actually done. It's the same thing that I find inside of Figma. If you're designing the product, if you're building the wireframe, you think you know, but until you actually go through the motions of building it, launching it, using it, and being like, fuck, this is how it should have been done. This is how it should work. Like I've now completely redesigned top to bottom 3 times. But now it's really functional. It looks great. It works better than the competitors. But there are features that would just make it so much more valuable.
Yeah.
So, but
Are you still going from brain to Figma to design, or to app?
yeah.
So I used to do that with other tools, basically like Miro and things like that. But now instead of doing that, I'm doing it with Lovable or Cursor in some cases. And it is not pixel perfect in the way that you design it on Figma, but it's more about the UX than the UI for me. So it's like what you were just saying, like how should it work? How should it feel how it works?
Yeah.
I don't care that the button doesn't have a 15, pixel rounding on the corner. I don't care about that. I just care like if you click this button, should what you expect happens.
Yeah, I know what you mean. For mobile, especially for iPhone, there's a lot of universal SOPs that people follow, like the number of icons you can have on the bottom row, the fact that swipe left means go to the previous page, like little animations or like layouts, the size of the buttons, the text size, the pathway to get to certain features is, I think, almost standardized. It's like we were talking about this a month ago. There is no user guide for any app or any software. Users just intuitively know how to use it, which means you
Yeah.
have to follow standard guidelines for what aligns with people's intuition, like with what other apps do, basically.
Yeah, I would correlate that for web apps as like, oh, you have the menu in the left-hand column.
Exactly.
Your profile is in the top right, to click your little icon, or maybe it's in the bottom left. Like there are
Your
those
settings,
standard.
bottom left. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
like universal experiences that you're gonna have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
AI knows all of that.
You're right. You're right. But we already have like we have pre-made components to it. So now when I create a new page, it has our footer, it has the header, it has the swipe navigations, it has all the things. I honestly, maybe I'm just stuck in my ways, but like I probably am. I look at
You could just
Marvin and
Put
like,
all that in there, it'll know it.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, I probably should. I don't really have an excuse for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to change, the way that you're doing things. It's working, obviously, but I
We'll
think
see. Well, I don't know if it's working yet. We'll find out.
you could, I think, speed up at least your initial version of it to where, because I'm doing this almost daily now. Like instead of going like, we'll get feedback from a customer, and I'm sometimes doing this live on the calls. Like I'll show them a demo of a new product or a new feature coming up that I've built in Lovable. And they're like, oh, well, could we add like another free tier option to that? I'm like, sure. And I'm just like, click. And then within 30 seconds, I'm like, okay, well, how does this look? And like, oh, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, great. So again, that feedback loop now goes like, it's so small to where I just did a new live demo mockup on our existing product feature set that a customer can connect with and give me feedback on.
Yeah.
In less than 30 minutes. That's insane.
Yeah. It is for sure. That's really valuable.
Yeah.
We
So
might
maybe
need to
not.
get to that point. Honestly, developing is not even a priority right now because now we have a working product that I feel really comfortable advertising because it's genuinely really fucking good. Now we just need to acquire users, see what the retention's like, and like really just figure out what our numbers are.
Yeah. Yeah. How are you thinking about doing product versus marketing? I think I'm going to have to go here shortly.
Yeah, all good. What do you mean product? Like
So
developing?
like my one of my like core things right now is like how I structure my day is I need to think about product and I think I need to think about marketing. The product is in progress and it's being developed, but then now the marketing side, and I try to like split my day kind of in that way where I'm thinking about both of those things. But then, yeah, so I don't know, like it seems like you're already doing that. You're focused on building the side of the product, and then the marketing side is maybe going into these groups that you just mentioned.
Yeah, like for me, it's been really one or the other. Like I'll spend weeks on product and then weeks on marketing because what I've noticed, and it's probably just because I'm new at this, is that I'll launch the product and be like, fuck, we missed this. This doesn't work the way I want it to. We have poor feedback here. We didn't build a homepage. Why didn't we build a homepage? So and then I look at the churn metrics. There's like sign up, trial, churn. Because there was I knew how it worked, but all the users didn't know how it works. I'm like, that's stupid. So then I would just pause marketing entirely, turn off all the ads. I'm not focused on producing content for an app that I don't feel comfortable pushing out, and then just go entirely on product. But now it's switched. Now the product is genuinely good, very comfortable advertising it. I know what needs to be improved, but these are add-ons that make it a little bit more valuable, not make the entire thing usable. So now I'm just entirely marketing focused because the product is already done.
That's a good way to, that's probably the better way to think about it, to be honest.
Well, that's the way I'm doing it now. But eventually, what I want to have is the dev team that just works around the clock on a salary. Marketing team is around the clock on a salary. Then we have corporate partnerships. Then we have nonprofit partnerships. We have like charity division, which I think are going to be really important, especially in parenting. So I want I want to have the design team like full time. So I want it to build out to be a legitimate corporation where we can all lean on each other. I've spoken to a few people now that have asked about full-time employment and stock options and like what it would look like to grow out. So I think that it can be huge, but none of this exists unless we have our first 1,000 users and we're making some money.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 1,000 users at $60 a year is still 600 grand. Like that's enough to bring people in.
1,000 users at $60 would be 60,000.
No. Did I miss my math? Oh yeah. Still.
Oh, that's quite a bit different.
That's what I did. What I meant was 10,000 users, $60 a year. It's still still 600 grand. It's still enough to bring people in.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Cool.
yeah, now we just got to distribute. That's it.
Yep. Name of the game. Cool. Yeah. Well, I do have to go. I think at my property manager here. So,
Okay.
Yeah. Good chat. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, everybody.